Hello. All right. Testing. We'll see if this works. And if you guys are watching later, there was a lot going on to get here. Let's put it that way. I don't know why we have technical difficulties, but let me know, and I should probably type this. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Apologize for the technical difficulties. And I also apologize that the volume is not coming in very loud. I don't know how to change that, but I guess we'll see. But I'll let you guys come in. This is the third attempt here. 13 minutes late, and I hate being late. So I'm gonna let you guys come in next minute or two. And just let me know if you guys can hear me. And like I said, I apologize if it's okay. Yeah. Sorry for that. We got Tempest in here, or Patriot. Glad it's good now. Sorry, I'm not sure everyone who's watching now or later what was going on, but maybe the third time is the charm. Um, Thank you. Appreciate that, Lancaster, for being here. Hopefully you're doing well. It's been a minute, hasn't it? But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2A show, at least for Monday, February 7th, 2022. It's the big catch up. Let's all get caught up. First of all, like I was trying to say when you guys couldn't hear me, I apologize. It's been a minute since I've been on or uploaded anything or live stream. It has past several months have been actually very I'm not going to say crazy, but very busy, extremely busy. Doing well though. Busy is good, but man, not like this. But yeah, things are good, and I have a couple things I want to talk about tonight. Um, and you guys, as always, can ask questions as we go. Any questions you have. But I do have a couple things that I want to hit. And one of them, actually, I'm really excited about. We started filming on this video about Chris and I started the video, did filming about 3 weeks ago. And I put forward like $700 for this video. It's probably time I did a Patreon. But that's how passionate I am about the video that we're going to drop probably in the next probably 2 or 3 days. We're in post production now. We have the final segment we have to film. We're probably going to do that tomorrow. But this is actually a video we've been trying to do for the past probably about a year. Yeah, about a year ago is when the idea first showed up. And finally, with how busy we've all been, we're going to get to it. So in the next several days, you should see a video. It's going to drop, and I think you guys are going to like it. I don't know. I'm very excited about this video. Very happy with it too, based on the purchases I made for the sake of the video. So, but like I said, you guys can comment or ask questions, anything you guys want to do. In the meantime, but couple items of business. So, firstly, like I mentioned, it's been busy. It's been busy because I'm still building guns, repairing guns, doing the gunsmithing thing full time. But on the side, I'm also an EMT doing the ski patrol thing, which has been very interesting. I mean, that's one of the more challenging ways to provide care for people, but haven't been doing that as much as gunsmithing. And I'm actually moving into fire department um, kind of employment. So we'll see where that goes. But in terms of Second Amendment news, I guess the only real big thing on the radar is still, like I mentioned in the past, months ago, the New York Rifle and Pistol Association, the Corlett case that the Supreme Court decided to take, and we should have a decision on that this year, in the coming months. And that case is pretty pivotal because it's challenging the not the shall but the may issue states, where you can do everything right. You can apply for a concealed carry permit. In the may issue states, you have to, um, provide reasons for why you want this concealed carry permit. And people are getting denied because they're just providing, hey, it's my Second Amendment rights. So we're going to see where that case goes. The state of New York is actually trying to do some ramshackle last minute legislation to try to move the goalposts a little bit, or anticipating a negative decision from the Supreme Court. They're trying to, you can't carry a concealed firearm in a venue with more than 15 people, and all kinds of nonsense. And the thing that's particularly egregious to me is the expense, the time, and the cost associated with jumping through these burning hoops just to exercise a right that we all inherently have or should have. So we'll see where that goes. I actually anticipate, very much like the midterms, I anticipate the Supreme Court as well. We're going to have a really good decision. It's going to be a landmark case, says me. I suspect that we haven't had really since Heller or McDonald. Um, but this is going to be in a different way, because this is about, Heller made the determination that you can have a firearm in your home for lawful self-defense, including a handgun. Defeated the decades-long handgun ban in the District of Columbia. But this case is going to add on, or at least expand, of, yeah, your Bill of Rights doesn't dissolve like cotton candy the second you walk outside your domicile. So, yes, New York, especially here, but states like them are scrambling to deal with this, and I don't think they can. But we'll see where it goes. Um, let's see. I have to put my glasses on. ATF is really going insane. Well, that's a side tangent, but the ATF, the BETA, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, that's actually constitutionally, that's Article 2 of the Constitution, that's in deference to the executive branch. And really what that means, in a realistic standpoint, it's a bureaucracy. And they are not elected by us. The edicts that they wake up in the morning and decide to publish, that carries the weight of law and felonies and prosecution of people like you and me, that wasn't passed by Congress. And now that's Article 1. Congress shall make no law. Even in the verbiage of our Constitution, that Congress makes a law, the executive passes the law. And when we have things like the FBI, and they're not in the business of really making laws, but we have things like carrying under that Article 2 umbrella of bureaucracy under the executive branch. We have things like the EPA, the FDA, FCC, FAA, ATF, things like this, where they're not elected and they're not Congress, but they're kind of a one-man army where they just say, "Hey, this is how it's going to be, and if you violate it, uh, you you've broken law, and we're going to take you to court, and you will have felonies or crimes." So the ATF particularly, um, yeah, it's I don't know if it's gone insane. I don't know if it's ever truly been insane as much as probably my top thing of should have never been there. Uh, or maybe it's this, microwave leftovers from the prohibition era, you know, our government creating a problem. And once they created the problem, a lot of people died and there was lots of crimes. So now they need to pass legislation to kind of put a band-aid on the sucking chest wound, which hooray, we have the ATF and other things to this day. So I don't know if it's as much of them going insane as much as should have never been there, constitutionally speaking. Um, let's see. Put these back on. So am I optimistic about the Second Amendment court decision coming? I actually am, especially with the composition of the Supreme Court. And we did have, it was actually a little bit bungled, but Justice Breyer, I guess his retirement was announced like cart before the horse before he actually got to announce it. But Justice Breyer is apparently going to resign or retire from the Supreme Court. And he is one of the left-leaning justices on the Supreme Court. And that's probably not the best way or the most accurate way to say that, because generally in jurisprudence, we have, well, that's probably its own separate video. So I don't know if I want to get into that, but Justice Breyer leans left, I guess, in a very basic way of saying that on the Supreme Court. It's always been that way. He was nominated by President Clinton back in the day. And his retirement doesn't really change much with the 6-3 majority, the conservative or the traditionalist interpretation justices of our court. I guess simple way of saying the 6-3 majority leaning towards a strict kind of Scalia-esque interpretation of the law and the Constitution doesn't really change anything. If he does in fact retire, I think it's kind of like whiplash from Justice Ginsburg, where she thought that Hillary was going to win, so she didn't retire, and then surprise, that didn't happen, and now she's hanging on literally on the edge until she died, and then she gets replaced, and we actually have Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. We have 3 additions from the Trump administration that put us in a very solid 6-3, worst case with Justice Roberts, as we know from Obamacare, a 5-4 majority. So even with the current news from what we know, Justice Breyer being announced he's going to retire and him corroborating that, it's not going to change anything. So this case is going to have a resolution this year, and it's if you are not in favor of gun rights, if you're not in favor of individual civil liberties, if you're not in favor of the Bill of Rights, I think you're going to have a bad time with this case, with the New York Rifle and Pistol Association Corlett case. So yes, I'm very optimistic about it, especially the oral arguments, which could be its own live stream. That was very encouraging if you're on the side of in favor of the Second Amendment, as we are. Very encouraging. So yes, all of that to say, long-winded dawn of time explanation, but Yes, very, very encouraged. And I think it's not just for us, but in terms of the Bill of Rights and the Second Amendment, I think that's going to be a good thing this year. I don't see anything changing that. So um, let's see. How much longer do you think this Second Amendment court case will go on before we get a decision? It's going to be this year. The Supreme Court, they have a lot of things on the docket, a lot of oral arguments as well in other cases that are not even 2A related, but definitely this year. I think probably March. But I mean, now this is Article 3 of our Constitution, the judicial branch, Supreme Court of which is at the top, obviously. And it's kind of fast and loose. It comes and goes. It depends how much is on the docket, but I do think we're going to have a resolution this year. I'm very optimistic for it. Let's see. Apparently, the ATF went after CRS Firearms. Yes. Yeah, CRS. So I had made some comments on his videos. He responded, things like that. And in our very small and very brief correspondence over the past year, he doesn't strike me as a bad guy. But I did say that, like, you are, I don't know, it's like, how many times can we play with fire before we get burned? And if you have a federal firearms license, if you have a gun shop or an FFL of some kind, there are requirements that you have to meet from the federal government to get that license and maintain that license. And of course, pay money. But while you have that license, every gun shop owner or FFL holder gets to choose how safe, erring on the side of caution they want to play things, or how right at that edge of how fast and loose they want to go. And he was always very on that edge of fast and loose. And I don't know. It's I don't like to see what happened. Um, and I'm very. I mean, I'm biased as one of your veterans, one of your combat infantry veterans. The military nomenclature and definition of what a machine gun is versus what he has 8 felony charges on, or his charges. I don't think they're all felony charges, but the ATF decided that a stenciled piece of sheet steel was a machine gun. Just a little auto card key that fits or could fit in your wallet. That was a machine gun, and that he was promulgating the knowledge thereof, which is the least of the concerns by ATF's opinions, but making sales of this said item. And that was the big foul up. That was the big problem. So, yeah, I wish the best for him. I should probably grab a GoFundMe and link it. You guys can Google it. But yeah, and this is probably what comes next, is the part that people don't understand, is if you're just some small pawn shop like he is that has an FFL, or you're a gun shop, gun range, whatever, you have an FFL, and if they slap all these charges, they stack all these charges on you, and they throw you in a cage, and you have to pay so much money just to post bail just to get out. And now you're staring down the barrel of all these legal fees. I mean, you could, yeah, Miranda rights, like, oh, if you don't have the money to have a lawyer, then one will be appointed to you, and that person's not going to be well practiced in the law. They're going to be doing pro bono work or state work, or they're a public defendant. They're not well practiced in firearms law, especially something of that magnitude. So if you actually want real, competent, expert representation in the court of law for you, legal representation, it's going to cost you money. And most people, unless you're Bill Gates or affluent or wealthy or something, you can't afford that. But the federal government, they will spend our tax dollars to no end. Actually, very surprising. If you're new to this, very unsurprising if you studied this for a long time. There's no limit of money they're willing to spend to harass, intimidate, to go back to court to do it. So anytime we have things like this, most cases get settled either out of court at best or at usual, some kind of plea bargain. And whether it's right or wrong, it's all about money. You don't have the money that the US government has. So anyway, not to go on a rant about that, but I do wish him the best. And I guess we'll see what happens. But there's been many cases, not necessarily about the auto key cards, but there's been cases like this before. And I unfortunately see the writing on the wall for him. And I don't think it looks good. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. But that's, I guess that's my thoughts on that. Let's see. Back to Patriot. How far do you think that the Supreme Court will go? Do you think it will be nationwide constitutional carry or shall issue? The Supreme Court, historically, if we look at Heller and especially in McDonald, the Supreme Court, especially when it comes to not just Second Amendment, but anything really, whether it's gay marriage, abortion rights, whatever, or things that are not as controversial as all of this, the Supreme Court, it's less about gratifying, as far as you want things to go if you're a supporter of whatever that case is about, but it's more about making a statement. And we have a lot of lower courts and of course the circuit courts that don't have agreement. So when they set a precedent, they in some ways they intentionally don't go all the way, but that's in a way that's part of what they do is that they don't fully lay everything out. They don't go 100% of the way, maybe 60 or 70% of the way. But then the circuit courts, lower courts, federal and district courts have to rely on that for deference. And if they didn't explicitly lay out the way, that's kind of the point. So these lower courts have to tread carefully. So I don't know how far they're going to go. I happen to think they're intentionally not going to go very far. But they're going to go far enough to where lower courts are going to look at that decision and realize they have to be very careful about how they decide cases that come across their bench. And in the end, Article 3, Section 2 would get you started on that, especially Federalist 78 would clue you into that, or at least get you on the right foot. But it's not meant to be absolute, but it's meant to steer the way. Okay, let's see. From John, nope, we'll never see nationwide constitutional carry. Responding to the Patriot, we just need to do it. Yeah, so, when I lived in California, and I had escaped California 2014. When I lived in California, unless you were a Hollywood star or well connected to the sheriffs, had family there, or you donated to the right political campaign, you were not getting a concealed carry permit. So basically, what that meant for you and I was people like us, regular people, we were not ever going to get concealed carry permits. And I decided to carry anyway. I'm not recommending people do that, um, but I just decided that's what I was going to do. And in the state that I live in now, businesses, if they're inclined or if they want to, they can put signs, outside their business saying, "Oh, we don't want any guns on the premises, whatever." And if you are caught with a concealed firearm, it's kind of a toothless law. I mean, the police can show up, and the business owner can ask you to leave, and you must leave, or you're trespassing. Um, but if they see that you have a gun and they ask you to leave, and then you leave, the cops could show up and be like, "Well, at least in this state, business owners can make a request, but if you bring a gun in anyway, we can't really do anything, um, so long as if it's found that you leave when they ask you to leave." So I don't know. My policy has been in the past and still is to this day that I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I just gun and no open carry, not flaunting it, not making any kind of big deal, not telling anyone, just doing my own thing, and that's just how I live my life. Um, so that's kind of a side tangent to John's comment, but I don't, and I don't think a lot of people are going to hear this, but if we're going on 10th Amendment grounds, which have been really the 10th Amendment has really taken a beating over the years. But if we're going on strictly 10th Amendment grounds, every state in our union is literally a state or meant to be its own country. Outside the United States, the word state, I mean, that refers to a country. So if one state or country in our union under this Federation of Nations for Perpetual Union, as our Constitution lays out. If different states want to have different things within reason, without confining ourselves to abusing the Bill of Rights, then they can. It's their states' rights. So the idea that constitutional carry would happen, I don't see that being a thing anytime soon, or maybe ever for a long time, because the states do have rights and the states do have power. 10th Amendment, like right down the middle of that. But at the same time, I do see the New York Rifle and Pistol Association. I do see the Corlett case. I don't think it's going to go the way that anti-gun people want that to go. And do I think it means wide open constitutional carry across our country? But I don't think it's going to be a loss by any means. No. So I guess all of us will just have to see. Let's see. John says it's your right. Following up on that, Patriot says, I worry that if the Supreme Court forces anti-Second Amendment states to do shall issue permits, they will simply start to charge crazy fees to exercise a right. Well, I hate to break it to you, being an escapee of California, 7, 8 years ago, that's already happening. If you have enough money, you can do anything, apparently, when it comes to this. But yeah, there's firearm safety certificate requirements in California. It's been that way since over a decade. New York is doing the same thing. There's states that have FOIDs or firearm owner's ID cards. It's like a driver's license, but you need to get it in order to purchase a gun of any kind. There's training requirements, time on the range. And when I was back in Southern California as an instructor, and we would do sometimes film shoots, Hollywood gigs, normal traffic, group lessons like that. I mean, I was $90 an hour. And these states are like, you need to have 5 hours of training on the classroom and then 2 hours of training on the range. It's like, who, I mean, if you're a single mother, and especially, you know, a minority or someone living in the downtown district, you're working three jobs, you don't have a car, you're taking a bus to work, you've got three kids to take care of when you're not at your jobs. Who has the time or money to do that? Rich people or people who have the means to make it happen or they have connections. I guess it's the California model. I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Especially we have a lot of our fellow Americans living in really bad urban or downtown central city areas, who are living real life and looking at the budget, looking at their time. They're sleeping 4 hours a night. They just because they have to work and take the kids to daycare, whatever, go on the bus, and the expense and the cost of training and the time they have to allocate to jump through these flaming hoops just to access an essential or inalienable natural right that we all should have just as much as your First Amendment or your third or your fourth, fifth, and the rest. But instead of just having it because they're a human being and we recognize human dignity in this country, they have to allocate time and money to jump through these hoops to get the firearm owner's card or the firearm safe handling certificate, or it's there's a point here. There's a point to all this, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So I guess we'll have to see. Um, and maybe someday, I'm hopeful sometime in our lifetimes, hopefully, that someday there will be some kind of Supreme Court case that shows up of like, hey, by the letter of the law, this state allows, concealed carry, but they have all of these other extraneous, expensive, time consuming, crazy flaming hoops that people have to jump through just to buy a gun. So on paper they can do it, but in reality it's very obstructive. They can't. Most people can't. I'd like to see a case like that come across someday. Maybe in our lifetime, it just might. For sure, it's going to show up in the circuit courts, but the Supreme Court, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see what they do with it. I don't know. John just said, like the crazy fees now. I guess you shortly, but right to the point, answered my response to Patriot there. Yes, it's already happening now. Newsflash to everyone. Am I going to join other platforms eventually? Yes. And I'll make those platforms known. But for the meantime, YouTube is kind of the primary thing. And I am that guy who's actually read through the terms and conditions and the ever moving goalposts of the approved content. I've had some of my videos removed. I've had issues with YouTube, but for now, I'm going to stay here and stay under the radar for the moment. And I have alternative platforms to jump onto. And when I do, you guys will know. I'll let you know. But yeah, YouTube is very trifling. It's very hard to work with because if you think about, our Constitution, our state laws, our local laws, federal laws, just living in organized society like we do, there are posted, known, and established limits of like, here's all the stuff you can do. We're not even going to enumerate what you can do, but here's the things you definitely can't do. And it's known. You can look it up, you can read it, you can see it. And the left and right limits. And YouTube has a very small staff, believe it or not. Videos get taken down or flagged for no apparent reason. The last videos I had taken down, they were up for like a year and a half, and then they randomly just got taken down one day with no explanation. Tried to get answers, tried to review it, and YouTube makes it a very open policy of not answering any specific questions at all as to why your video was taken down or why this didn't work. And their policy seems to be, with the limited staff that they have and with how many millions of videos get uploaded, I'm sure every day, that they purposely decide not to answer questions as to, hey, is this okay? You're never going to get a response. Or if your video is taken down, hey, why did that get taken down? So I know the lay of the land and I know what's street legal and what's not. They're not going to answer that. It's kind of the mystery zone of not knowing what the problem is. And I think in ways like my channel and other GunTube people, that I think they hope that we self-censor or that we don't put things out there because we don't know. None of us know as to what is exactly right or wrong on this platform. So in the meantime, keeping it easy with other plans in the works. And when those plans come to light, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, YouTube. I mean, I think the first upload I ever did on YouTube was like 2006. I mean, I've been on this platform one way or another for a long time, but I've never seen it like this, even in the past 5 years, really cracking down on monetization and ads and especially gun channels and things like that. I've never seen it like this. So yeah, the ship is sinking. I understand the Titanic is sinking and I need to find a lifeboat, preferably several. And you guys know when I have those set up. Let's see. Yeah, this is what gun control ultimately accomplishes. It disarms the populace and leaves guns in the hands of the elite and powerful. Yeah, and it's I mean, I've spoken, I think, in hours at this point on that concept, but you know, this was meant to be accessible by all of us, everyone, no matter your race, ethnicity, economic status, you know, status in society, wealth, whatever. And states definitely, I can personally speak to California, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey. States like these, I mean, it's anything is legal if you have enough money, seems to be the mindset, which I really detest. Let's see. Do you think all the gun control groups intend for that to happen, or are they just generally worried about violence? All the gun control groups intend for that. What's that to happen? Or are they generally worried about violence? That's the without knowing what that is. I think, you know, whether it's Moms Demand Action, the Brady campaign, you know, these notorious and longstanding anti-gun groups, I actually do. It's it's sad, but this is how our world works. There's a lot of things that are sad. Um, but the sad truth, I believe, about the anti-gun groups or the gun control groups that have been around for a long time and that we always deal with all the time. I actually think most of their membership genuinely doesn't want violence. They genuinely don't want to cause problems. I think there's a lot of emotions involved. And I think they actually are good people, who want many things like I don't. They want many things like I do. That's like I think I could sit with the Moms Demand Action or the Brady campaign or the Giffords Foundation. Like I could sit with their membership, and I think we could agree that I don't want violent convicted felons to have firearms. I think we could actually agree to that. I don't want people who have been involuntarily committed to a mental institution or asylum with violent, tendencies. Like I think we could agree, we could find agreement that like we both don't want that to happen. And I think their heart is in the right place. I just feel like in the army we would say that I think they are so focused on that 25-meter target, so fixated on that and that alone that they don't realize there's targets going out to 300 meters, that you have a whole range full of other things going on. So I think they're really kind of, they got the blinders on. I don't know if they chose to. They're not aware that they do it, I think most of them, but they're so fixated and just laser beam, focused on that one thing that I don't think they, see the forest through the trees. I don't think they see that. And most of their membership in these anti-gun groups, I think they mean well, but like I said, I think they're so focused on that immediate thing that they don't see the full damage of where their ideas go. And maybe that's just me being a history nerd with my worthless history bachelor's degree, but um, it feels righteous and it feels good to just focus on that small little tidbit of meal. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions, isn't it? And I don't think they know that or see where, if we play this out, like not the next 10 minutes, but we play this out the next 3 hours or the next decades, like where does this go? I don't think their mind is there. So most of them I don't see as my immediate enemy. I don't think they really see the long term kind of play by play of how that's going to end. But the sinister part is, I think there are leaders or the leadership of these different anti-gun organizations who know that it's kind of a lost cause. They know that it's, and maybe I think some of them don't even care. They don't even care about guns one way or another. It's just a way. It's a money mule. It's a way to make money. Organized parties live the lives that they live, and they take all these good intentioned people who are not looking further or down the road, and they just take them with them and make money and push. And it's all of it to me is very gross. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that might surprise some people, but honest, like no BS assessment, I don't think that most of them are my true enemy. I just definitely think most of them don't really understand what they're involved in or how far these ideas go, what that actually looks like. I can definitely tell you that's true for sure. Um, worried about getting deleted off YouTube someday? Yeah, possibly someday, but I don't know. I want to expand different channels or different platforms and then see where it goes. And I'll still upload on YouTube as well. And if I get deleted from here, the plan is that I already have other platforms for you guys to jump on by that time. So I'm not as worried about it. I see it as being inevitable. Um, so let's see. I wondered if the gun control groups intend to disarm the populace and leave the guns in the hands of the powerful. You just kind of answered it though. Yeah, I really honestly don't feel like most of the membership of those groups, I don't honestly feel like they like mission statement. I don't think they intend for that to happen, but like I said, I don't think they understand where these ideas go. Um, and it's I don't know, it's been very confusing past several years, right? That they say, the police are all racist and incompetent and they're killing innocent people, especially minorities or black people, like, like it's going out of style. It's just left and right. They're just killing innocent people and they're incompetent. It's terrible. But then after George Floyd, it was like those same voices, those same people were saying we need to defund the police or limit their training. And especially after several shootings we had, like, oh, like only the police, and they're the only ones who should really have the guns. It's like, wait a minute. You were just telling me for years now that the police are all racist and incompetent and not to be trusted. And you even want to defund them, take away their training, which inevitably means limiting their professionalism or capabilities. But then you turn around and you say that they're the only ones who should have the guns. And for me, just intellectual honesty, I'm like, what? We'll pick one. Pick one. Either they're all terrible and we can't trust them and they're horrible, or they're the only people that should have the guns. And like you can't simultaneously do the same thing at the same time. And I don't even think for most of them it even dawns on them how egregious that is to just being intellectually honest. Um, yeah, it's very, very frustrating sometimes for sure. Um, see, Patriot is mainly referring to the leadership of these organizations. Like I said, I don't intimately have an understanding of this. I don't know, but I feel like there are some people who, whether it's pro gun, you know, people like maybe Wayne LaPierre, where maybe whether it's pro gun or anti gun, um, they're leading this club or this organization or this movement or part of this idea, and they're a CFO or CEO or they're a leader of this organization, and they've been in the game so long, so greasy, they got there for disingenuous reasons. So that it's not even about pro or against guns. It's more about making money and living a life they want to live and saying what they need to say to make their donors and their members happy. Maybe it's like, if we win or lose a gun bill, whatever, it's like we're going to keep fighting. It's the fight that never ends. We're taking in so much money, and this is my salary, and these are the charity benefits that we do, and very few of these dollars actually go to the cause. Like, I don't know what happens there, um, but I can't claim to know every pro or anti-gun organization and their leadership and what they're in it for. Um, I mean, you can say with Giffords and Brady, being gunshot victim, wounded from notable historic events. You can say that, they have some kind of personal stake in it, but are they, even if they are true believers and they're really fighting for it, or does it really make sense? Do they even really know where this is headed? And my answer would be, I don't think so. I don't think they know. Not to at all diminish, what physically happened to them and real acts of violence that they didn't deserve. But is this really the best way to move forward? For them, they think so, for sure. But is it though? I don't think it is. But it's not my place to say in some standing of that. At least I have some understanding for that, the best I can. But I don't think it's all genuine. Um, let's see. It amazes me how some of these groups really love the old militia only 2A interpretation. Yeah. Yeah. The Second Amendment, very interesting. The exact text would be a well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that is where the confusion starts, right? We're talking about 18th century English being interpreted by 21st century Americans to drive policy or money or ideals without even realizing or caring to look at what those words actually meant when they were written, and even doing the backstory, like I've said in different almanacs in the past. Not just the Federalist Papers, but the Anti-Federalist Papers. What were our founders saying and doing themselves? Kind of the backstory at the same time that they wrote these words, and chiefly 1791 when our Bill of Rights moved in. What were they doing at the same time? What did they do in the years previous to that? Chiefly the American Revolution. But at that time, the militia was we the people. It was a military age male, up to and including, I believe, 40 years old, that had to supply their own powder and shot and weapons and provisions to be ready at a minute's notice, to be part of their commonwealth or state militia. And yeah, the times have changed, whether it was Indian attacks or rebellions or whatever. But in some ways, some very eternal ways, things will never change. Things have always been the same. Uh, and the militia was not the National Guard. I believe, I think it was 1906, the Militia Act, that actually brought in the National Guard. A little bit later than the Second Amendment, right? But the militia was we the people. It was us, all of us, and in times of need, whether we're independently protecting ourselves against the common criminal or rape or murder or whatever happening to us or our family in our homes, or collectively, tyranny happening to all of us, we the people were the militia. And that's why it ends, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's why that was the wording. And let's get something straight. Back in 18th century English, and you can be a nerd like me and go to the Oxford Dictionary, which not only tells you the current definition of any word you want, but it tells you how that definition, or what that word, how it changed over time. Because languages do evolve, they change. And if in the 18th century, at least in the English colonies, which later became, America, if something was well regulated, if something was to be well regulated, that was something that was in good working order, fine tuned, well practiced. It didn't mean regulated like restrictions, laws, legislation. Something that was well regulated was well conditioned, um, which I think gets lost on a lot of people these days, at least. So, um, yeah, it's anyway. I guess I'll end on that. But the militia only, I guess, you know, can't can't really totally disagree that it was meant to be militia only, because the militia was us, all of us. So, I think to them, or the anti-gun people, they think of militia, they think of like the Michigan militia, or a bunch of overweight 600-pound dudes with AKs and camouflage BDUs and stuff in the woods of Georgia or something. And that's not what our founders meant at all with what a militia actually was. It was us, all of us. So I guess I'll end on that for that question. Um, I follow this guy from Giant Purple People Eater. Welcome back. It's been a while for me. I follow this guy on a gun forum that writes for Mom at Arms. The sheer amount of L's moms, leftist moms, demand action has been taking in is staggering. If I'm reading that right, sorry. Also, a lot of the former Warsaw Pact countries figured once in a century is one too many. For example, Slovenia and the Czech Republic, formerly Czechoslovakia, I always have problems pronouncing that, has a hell of a gun culture. Losses. Okay. Follow this guy on a gun forum that writes for Mom at Arms. The sheer amount of losses moms demand action has been taking is staggering. Okay, that makes more sense now. Yes, and actually, I think one of the larger reasons for that is, I've once I got out of the army in late 2019, I've been working at a gun shop doing sales and then moved into gunsmithing, which is what I still do as one of my jobs, moving into EMS as an EMT now and all that stuff. But I've been there the past just over 2 years of watching what has happened. Between everything and large, like a large amount of people have really been buying guns, and it's not who you would think. Every race, ethnicity, class, profession, career, literally everyone you can think of has been in our gun shop and gun shops across the country buying guns by the millions, by the truckload. And a large part of that is moms, especially single moms that, they've got a couple kids, mouths to feed, maybe for money. They don't live in the best part of town, and they're just kind of grinding, and they're doing what they have to do to survive and make the bills and take care of the kids. And, I don't know the amounts, the amount of single mothers just on its own demographic, I guess, that we have seen in the gun shop and trained on the range and sold guns to is also, I'll share your word, staggering. So moms demand action, having challenges, is not surprising to me because I've seen quite a lot of moms come in just buying guns and getting training and wanting to protect themselves and their kids and whatever it is. So it's not surprising to me. Um, let's see. Going back to your next thing, a lot of the former Warsaw Pact countries figured once in a century is one too many. For example, Slovenia and the Czech Republic has a hell of a gun culture. It's true. Yeah. One of my exchange roommates for a semester was from Lithuania. And he went to like the Lithuanian version of West Point. So they would send guys to us, and then we would send our guys to that version of West Point. And I had the privilege of living with and hanging out with Tom, Lithuanian guy, and he talked about his dad being on the best at the radio station and how Lithuanians not do not want to ever be under the grips of, I guess these days, the Russian Federation. They don't. They want to be themselves, free country, sovereign country, and yeah, once in a century for them is enough. Another cadet, he was Hungarian. We're still friends. I actually talked last month. they want to be themselves. They want nothing to do with that. There's a lot of people who, and I've thankfully never lived under communism. Um, lived in a couple spicy places over communism. But the people that I personally know who have lived under communism, they want nothing to do with it, then go back. Okay. Looks like my connection is back. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, the people that I personally know who have lived under communism, they will fight and die before they ever uh, live under that again. So I definitely understand that. Um, let's see. Hey, 2A, how is Ready Gunner doing? Gun sales still going well? Yes. Things are going really well. Um, it's not, thankfully, it's not as crazy as it was year and a half ago. We actually have a lot of things in stock. We can get ammunition, which is nice. I'm actually caught up on most of my gunsmithing jobs. Still regular turnover, lots of people coming in, but it's not like, I mean, dudes, there was a time year and a half ago, year ago, where every day we would show up to work to open the gun shop, and there was a bread line of people all the way through the block back to the dumpster. And we had some protests at a major intersection, a couple blocks from us. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but okay, looks like my connection is back. But yeah, there were some spicy times back then, and all of us were showing up every morning with kit or plate carrier, long gun, of course, sidearm, everything else, just moving past this crowd of people trying to buy guns or ammo, whatever we got a shipment of. Our poor FedEx guy got uh, opened the back door with some ammo and guns, and people crowding around like it's Mogadishu, like trying to drop off a care package of UN aid support or something. It was bad times, guys. Bad times. Past year and a half. Thank God these things are relative. But yeah, it's good. Yeah, still a connection with the Black Rifle. It's you never know who's coming in every day. But things are pretty solid, and I am a little biased here. If there ever was a gun shop, gun range, coffee shop, veteran owned to support, I'd say it'd be us, but I'm biased as a veteran working for another veteran. I believe in what we do. Yeah. So maybe that was a little too much, but that's how we're doing, and we're doing pretty well. All right, let's see. I'm gonna have to go in a little bit. I'm gonna finish this up. Let's see. Um, Purple People Eater says, yeah, it's been a while. Moved into a new job 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day. Makes life a slog. And the 1980 Camaro sucks up my time. 408 stroker, baby. Hell yeah, dude. I should show pictures, man. My uncle is restoring a 68 Super Sport Camaro in his garage. It's been a project for the past year, and it is quite impressive. But anyway, back to your yeah, new job 5 days ago. Well, good luck with the new job, and I'd say to everyone else that it's never been a better time to get a better job and move into something different. I can't just sit back and not work or have an employment just out, but I always need to be working with my hands, my dirty hands. This is what I do. But yeah, 5 months ago, went to EMT school, got certified, got the job of ski patrol as an alternate, moving into looking at fire department, pushing hard on that. Look, man, if any of you guys want to reinvent yourselves, change jobs, get something with more pay, totally reinvent what you're about, what you do, acquire more skills, put yourself through school. Dudes, this is the time. This is the time. So, yeah, I commend you. Good job, Purple. It's really good. I wish you the best of luck at the new job. Glad you're here too. But that's kind of the example for all of us. Let's all move into better things, bigger and better things. Um, let's see. Patriot asked, did you get any new guns recently? I actually did, but wrap up the conclusion. It's probably going to happen tomorrow afternoon. I can pencil that in. Might be tomorrow night or the next morning. But there is a video where I bought some guns that I don't want to let anything go. But Range Chris and I finally finished this video that we wanted to do for like the past year. And yeah, I'm not even going to say anything. I don't want to let it go. But in the next couple days, you're going to see that upload. I'll be back from the dead with a new video. And but yes, I did some new guns. And don't judge me too hard. That's the only thing I'll say on that. Also working on my 18-inch precision AR build, which I'm very happy about. But it's going to be also to get that thing fully glassed out and finished. But final wrap up, guys. 5 more minutes, and then I got to keep moving. But let's see. Purple, I don't know if you've heard, but since the Russian ammo ban, Palmetto State Armory will be ramping up steel case production here in South Carolina at the end of 2023. Here's hoping QA is better than their AKs, or quality assurance or quality control is better than their AKs. Yeah, interestingly, my roommate from college, he was stationed at Paris Island as a captain there, a company commander. And I visited him once I got back from Iraq. And we, as gun dudes, went to Palmetto State. And that was a very interesting time. But it was I believe they call it the Low Country there. It was like Beaumont, I think, outside of Paris Island. Good trip, fantastic. Palmetto State, really cool. I've bought a lot of ammo and things from them, especially their premium uppers over the years, and it was really cool to see it in person. So, we also played the Citadel in Charleston in rugby. Yeah, they were still to this day, our big time rivals. And we actually won the game. It was back in 2008. It was a good time. Anyway, South Carolina, beautiful place, great people. And Palmetto State, I do have to applaud them for really moving into expansion of, providing lots of ammunition, guns to the masses, problem solving, and especially their partnership with FN, also in South Carolina, with quality barrels, and especially moving that into some of their AK line. And the fact that the Russian ammo ban, I guess to be as accurate as I can be or specific, that was a ban on the continued authorization of import licensing to bring in ammunition from Russia. But the current approved import licenses still stayed. So we still will see Russian ammunition case, particularly 760 by 39 and the like. We'll see all of that still coming in for a while, but it is going to stop at some point because they didn't cancel the active and open licenses, but they stopped the issuance of new ones, which at the time that happened months ago, still had like almost a year forward of licenses that were approved for oncoming contracts of importation. So, but I'm getting all of that to say that, yeah, it's good to see that PSA is moving in. It's been nice seeing, years, many years ago, like Hornet. I would love to see American produced steel cased, very affordable ammunition, very reliable. And hell, it doesn't even have to be necessarily accurate. I'm even just going to throw it all out there, honestly. Doesn't even have to be, if we do 4 MOA at 100 yards, I mean, that's AK standard. If we can get to 3, that'd be nice. It doesn't have to be accurate, but if it's American made, affordable steel case stuff for our comm block weapon systems, I'd love that. It'd be great. If PSA does it, even better. I like them a lot. So, let's see. From Patriot, do you have any almanacs coming? Actually have 2 been contemplating. One is on the current situation with Ukraine, but even, believe it or not, more pressing than that would be an almanac about right now, the Beijing Winter Olympics. And in a nutshell, I am not very happy that Beijing, or China specifically, the regime, is allowed to host these games, and that would not just the United States, but us with a coalition of allied countries in the international community, that we did not boycott these games. And in a nutshell, it's kind of deviating from Second Amendment or firearms and freedom related stuff. Well, it's definitely freedom, but a country that is openly and actively engaging in genocide, clamping down on their own people, threatening to take Taiwan, partnering with Putin, and being supportive of his goals to take the Ukraine, pushing in the Pacific, spying on their own people, blood in the streets of the people, their own people that they've killed. And this is the country that we're not going to boycott. Mm. Yeah, I don't like it. So yeah, that's a almanac, and a little bit of sort of a deviation of, I guess you can kind of say it's somewhat qualified with my normal content, but that was an almanac I've been thinking about doing. So we'll see. Definitely open to suggestions, but I guess we'll see. Let's see. Word on the Winds says they secured some tooling from Eastern Europe. If you're ever back in South Carolina, there's a place in Columbia called Doc Barbecue. Best fried chicken and barbecue hash in South Carolina. I'll take your word for it. And in fact, I don't know when I'll be in South Carolina again. I'd like to visit Mark, or Anvil Gunsmithing, best gunsmith that I know. But I don't know the next time I'll be there. But yeah, I'll definitely have to remember that. I think there's a lot of good barbecue. I don't know. After Texas, and also spending time in North Carolina, Fayetteville and Fort Bragg, and I want to say Greensboro. Man, it was kind of a blur for that trip. But Carolinas has some pretty good barbecue. So definitely, I'll take your word on that. But let's see. Almost nobody is watching the Olympics this year. And, I'm very competitive. And in years past, winter or summer Olympics, I've always watched. And every day I check the medal count. And I want our athletes to win or to get medals. And if a U.S. athlete is beat, I hope they are beat by an allied country like France, Germany, United Kingdom, Japan, someone, not China, not Russia, not countries that are abusive to human dignity. But this Olympics, I've just been watching, especially skiing, alpine, downhill, jumping. I've been watching all that, but I'm not watching it. I'm still checking the medal counts. I'm really not about it this year. I don't know. Just not just I want our athletes to win and crush the competition. Um, and I support them. Just this Olympics just feels so weird, and I don't like it. Let's see. Love the content from fellow American patriot like yourself. Well, thank you. And you're from North Carolina. My one of my best closest friends from the army, and actually he sent me a voice message before we went live. I'll have to respond to him, but he was my driver and I was his gunner in Afghanistan. And then we got the band back together again after that. Went to Iraq again together. But he's from North Carolina. Smartest guy I know, actually. Um, but yeah, I've spent time in North Carolina. Very interesting place. Good people there, though. Very good. So, anyway, I'm going to have to wrap it up. I got to go. Um, it's been good hanging with all you guys and Patriot and Purple People Eater and everyone else who was watching, didn't comment, or people who are going to see this later. Really appreciate that you guys are here. And I do apologize to you guys, everyone else watching now and later, that life has been wildly busy, to put that as an understatement. But Range Chris and I have a video I'm gonna put up in a couple days here, and I think you're gonna like it. It's a very different premise, so keep an open mind, and I think it's gonna be fun. It was definitely fun doing it and shooting and filming it. So, but yeah, appreciate you guys for being here, and stay tuned for more content. So, thank you guys. Signing off. And we'll see you guys the next time.